Finally, we have news about the visual rework for Rise of Kingdoms, including changes to the overall kingdom map, the commander page, and Ark of Osiris. And I am really hyped to have this hit the game. I'll be honest with you, I've been covering Rise of Kingdoms for over 5 years now, and it is nice to see something that hopefully brings players back to the game. Will it do that? Well, let's talk about what it is first. There is a really slick looking new design to the terrain. They say it's a 3D battlefield, although I don't think we're actually getting elevation changes like we have in Call of Dragons. I think that's totally fine, and I wouldn't say that necessarily belongs in Rise of Kingdoms. You also get some really sick lighting and shadow effects, which I assume they'll be like weather and seasons and these sorts of things, which could be really, really cool. But perhaps the most important part is a next generation engine, which promises greatly enhanced performance and reduced lag. Now look, the whole point of this game is massive scale war, right? So you need to be able to actually have lots of people on the screen at the same time, and a couple things have to be true. First of all, the game needs to be performant, like there can't be lag. You need to be able to actually play. But second of all, the interface needs to make it so that you can still make really clear combat choices while being in the middle of all of that mess. And historically, those things have not necessarily been true, and the developers have been really pushing what they're doing for gameplay. And these things, although they are novel to mobile gaming for city building war games, and to my knowledge, and I keep an eye on this, Rise of Kingdoms is the frontrunner for city building war games that play more like a MOBA in a lot of ways. It's like a blend of kind of StarCraft meets MOBA, where you have a bunch of things you're controlling, but really you play them all like one thing. All that to say, Rise of Kingdoms is at the forefront. But if we just like take a step back for a moment, okay? And if I told you in 2024, I'm playing a game where the graphics are getting updated and there won't be lag anymore, right? If we're talking about a pure PC game, I mean, I watch a lot of Asmongold. I am in the words of Omniarch, and an Asmongold enjoyer. I like his phrasing of that, okay? And, you know, one of the things he's talked about is that how, like, game developers don't really talk about graphics anymore, because, like, graphics, it's, like, kind of table stakes. Like, whether or not you have a laggy game experience, like, that's like, table stakes. Table stakes means that you kind of have to have it to be at all relevant in the conversation about your game being good or not good, right? We don't talk about those things because, like, if you didn't have those, you're not even at the table. And mobile gaming is almost in, like, its own different space. Like, city building war games in particular are, like, I don't know what it is about this genre where compared to, I don't know, like, obviously compared to a PC game, you get something completely different. You saw me go and play Manor Lords, right? Where the graphics are insane, okay? But there's gameplay issues over there too. And, you know, that's a single player game. It's not a PvP game. What is the point I'm trying to make here? The point I'm trying to make is to raise this question. Is a graphics change and a reduction of lag going to be the thing that brings people back to Rise of Kingdoms? Will it be the thing that keeps us in Rise of Kingdoms longer? The question I sort of wonder is, not that, was this an important thing to go do? Obviously, getting these graphics updates and the lag fixes is huge. I'm so hyped for it. But what is the combination of things on top of that that brings players back to the game? That, to me, is really interesting. Is this graphics change going to be so hype that new people come to the game? And I would assume the developers have done their testing to talk to potential new players. They show them, you know, they basically run a test. I used to do product management. Very simple test. You would show someone like, hey, here's what the game looks like, and you have the current version. And hey, here's what the game looks like, and you show them what the new version is going to be without writing all the code, without doing all the art yet. You just have a couple pictures. Be like, hey, look at these games. And you try to understand the conversion rate, right? So the point I'm making is, I hope that this new art is enough to bring in a bunch of new people, because that would be sick. I would love that for this channel. I would really love that. Now, there are other things coming as well. There's a new history collaboration project, and for me personally, I don't play this game for history or knowledge. I play this game for gameplay. So the lag thing is actually really important for me, very important for me personally. And the new KVK story that we're getting, Shifting Gears, I have no clue what it's about, but I'm hyped for it. And the final announcement is a brand new annual KVK story. I wasn't quite sure what that meant. if they were committing to one KVK story a year, but I feel like we get more than that currently, or if they're adding in yet another new KVK story every year, which would be insane. I actually almost feel like we have so many kingdoms queuing across so many different KVK pops and formats that you almost need to like reduce on all of that to get more competitive matchmaking. That's really like a separate matter entirely. So all in all, these do seem like some awesome changes for the game. But what things could we see in the coming months that might actually bring a bunch of people in? And the first thing is a big opportunity. It happens every year. It's the launch of a new civilization. People were asking recently, hey, Chisgule, what do you think? We getting a new civ? When's that happening? And my hope would be that we get a new civilization to show up maybe in like the next couple months. That would be pretty slick. A new civilization has historically brought players to the game, and I think some civilization launches have been way more successful than others. I would say the Viking civilization launch was disproportionately successful. I participated in a pretty big advertising campaign for Egypt with the Pawn Stars, and that was awesome. Lilith flew me out to LA, straight up recorded a commercial. I'll put a card in the end screen. You've probably seen it. You've probably seen the meme of me wearing the Egyptian stuff, right? Like, it's very funny, but I also got to hang out with Rick and Corey. And that shoot, by the way, it was so insane. It was a night shoot. So we filmed from like 9 p.m. till 4 a.m., which that's California time. I'm on the East Coast. So for me, it felt like filming from like midnight to 7 a.m. God, I was cooked. But it was really cool to participate in that. I would argue that campaign probably was not as successful as the Viking campaign, although you would think like Egypt, you could, I don't know, like Egyptian lore is kind of cool. Like objectively, when you think about civilizations, right? Like people generally are like, oh yeah, Vikings. I mean, there's all kinds of Vikings TV shows, all kinds of Egypt stuff, right? About the history. I don't know what civilization they could pick next. Last I recall, it was like Incans or Mayans maybe that they were looking at. And I think there's cool stuff you could do there too. But for me, as I look at this, I kind of wonder, like, what are the things that brings new players to the game? And what are the things that brings the old players back? And I suspect the graphics might help bring in new people. It's entirely possible. If they've never heard of Rise of Kingdoms, they see it, they see the graphics, they're like, yeah, I think I'd like to check that out. And that would be cool. But I think it's probably, I don't know. I mean, are graphics going to, I'm actually asking, are graphics going to bring old players back to Rise of Kingdoms? I don't know. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comments. I'm pretty hyped for this. I believe starting sometime next week, we'll see some information about what Home Kingdom stuff might look like. I don't know what I would expect to see for updates to like the commander screen. I don't know if we're getting, 3D models, I guess. Like, I don't know that the commander page necessarily is where I need visual updates. Actually, interface updates are more what I would be looking for there. Like things that make it easier to do what I need to do on that screen. Because, bro, there's so many commanders. I know we have filters, so I don't know what they would change. But I don't know. You get the idea, all right? And of course, Ark of Osiris is mentioned here as like a separate thing that is getting updated. I think that's definitely cool. But I'll be hunting for your thoughts down below in the comments, all right? Until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom.